Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So, this episode's going to be one of our January episodes. And it's not the reason we're talking about commitments, but I suppose it's the reason we got onto the topic of it because we had a Christmas episode and I asked you how you feel about New Year's resolutions. You said they're bullshit. But I thought maybe we could talk more generally because it's a nice time of the year to think about commitments or resolutions or things that you want to do better this year that you didn't do last year or things you want to keep doing that you were planning on doing last year. So thought maybe we could talk a little bit about commitments and
Hmm,
um, yeah.
I like commitments.
You just don't think that they should be set on the 1st of January.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um,
What's that famous saying? Don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today. Or is that the
yes, and then
saying? Yeah.
there's also don't do today what you can put off until tomorrow. So I suppose the lazy person's version of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I'm a big fan of making commitments. Um, Mostly to yourself, because I think it starts with the self.
Yeah.
So we all know about the commitments that we have to make towards, I don't know, our colleagues or our job or our family members, etc. But I think in the context of what we were discussing about New Year's resolutions and that sort of thing, it's almost like it's the same cast of characters every year. You know, I want to lose weight. I want to
Yeah.
go to gym. I want to study something. I want to whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but but any commitment that you make to yourself, um, I'm there's always something that I'm busy with, something that I've made a commitment to myself
Yeah.
about. I don't know whether it is a book that I want to read, whether it is a subject that I want to learn more about, etc. Then make a clear commitment about it, and then tracking it.
Yeah.
For me, the tracking part, I don't have to share it with anybody, but I do feel for myself if I track it and I track it regularly, I get more benefit out of that.
Yeah.
And then also if I have goals or commitments that I can achieve in a relatively short period of time. In other words, take a bigger commitment and break it down into smaller commitments, just like you would do any other project, just like you would
Yeah.
tackle any other big task. Um, but yeah, that's in short my view on
Yeah.
commitments.
I feel like we've spoken about this before because I mean, when we spoke about the self-help books, there was that one
Mm,
that was very doable and something that made sense to us, which was the take one small step. And for me, when I was starting my reading journey, it was the one small step, read a chapter a day, in order to read. I've now done 30 books this year, but I my goal was 40, and
amazing.
I don't think I'm going to achieve that now. But but 30 is good, especially when I started at 10. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I think being able to take something big and break it down into its smallest possible step that you can take is how you can achieve your commitments. Um, like I say, it's like we've spoken about this 100 times before because it comes up all the time. The one small step.
Yeah, so I wonder what is the root cause for people not achieving their goals or not sticking to their commitments. Like I said, uh, even if it's a commitment to yourself,
Yeah.
what do you think are kind of major stumbling blocks there?
Well, the one that I've experienced recently is an external forces that prevent you from doing it, which is sometimes quite frustrating. So I had my commitment to walk every day, and I got it up to, I was doing on average 5 kilometers a day, and then I injured myself, and
Mm.
that's obviously put a big dent in my walking. I think I'm barely even getting kind of 3,000 steps a day now. But I know that that's something that I can achieve because I've done it before. So I know that I'm going to build back up to it once I'm feeling stronger and um, everything's better. So that's external forces is a big one. For me, what's also always been a big thing for me not achieving my commitments is just feeling overwhelmed, like feeling like it's too big and too much of a change, which is where I come back to that. What's the smallest possible thing you can do to make
Mm.
that change? And once that becomes easy, then you can add on a little bit and add on a little bit. Yeah. So for me, being overwhelmed is probably a big stumbling block.
Yeah. So I think um, something that I've been thinking about, and I mean, many people have spoken or written about this, is that it doesn't mean enough to you.
Yeah.
So if I make a commitment, let's use the simple one about I'm going to start exercising this year.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not that important to you, there's not a compelling reason why you want
Yeah.
to do it. And not the usual kind of flaky answers of I want to lose weight or I
Mm.
want to whatever. There must be a very, very clear reason why you want to do something.
Yeah.
And you yourself must be the one deriving the benefit from it.
Yes. So back to old Simon Sinek. Start with why.
Yeah, no, it's very important.
Yeah.
And if you can clarify that for yourself and then break it down, I think it makes it a little bit easier to not be overwhelmed. As you said, if you have this massive goal, I want to climb Mount Everest, if that's kind of like the only thing that you focus on,
Yeah.
then it can be overwhelming. But if you just commit to climbing the hill outside your village and then go, actually, I managed to do that. So let me find a
Yeah.
bigger hill and a bigger one, etc. And that's how we kind of know. So that's quite interesting to me. Is there's a lot of this comes so natural to us.
Yeah.
It's part of our instinct. It's how we became what we are. You don't sit a toddler down and say, I've got this massive project for you. You must learn to ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
It's all part of play and it's all part of fall down, etc., etc., until it happens. But for some reason, as we become more mature and we're supposed to be smarter and wiser,
Are we?
but no, no, we're not. um, but anyway, then we kind of start thinking about these things and so on. But I just want to emphasize again the thing about tracking.
Yeah.
So let's think about, you mentioned um, your goal to read 10 books this year.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't track it, and that's quite an easy one to track anyway.
Yeah.
If you didn't track it, you wouldn't have revised that goal for yourself so quickly.
Yeah.
You would also have not experienced the the positive emotions and feedback that you got from just, hey, you know what, I smashed that goal.
Yeah.
It was way too easy. I can up that number. And so you got that feedback simply because you can count the stack of books next to you,
Yeah.
and everything that we want to make a commitment to, um, we can find those easily trackable measures where we can get the feedback from. And I think that's key in terms of achieving your goals.
Yep.
So you mentioned earlier that one of the big things is when there are external factors that come and mess with you, like okay, cool, I had an injury, and therefore I cannot walk.
Yeah.
You know, 100% correct. You said that I know that I can get back to it as soon as I have overcome this injury. But have you considered some alternatives? Because there was so obviously the reason why you wanted to walk was not just to walk.
Yeah.
There were other reasons. I don't know whether that's your time to meditate, to listen to podcasts, or whatever the case may be. Whether it's just in terms of the exercise or whatever those reasons. Are there not opportunities to then take and say, well, I can't do the activity
Yeah.
that I initially linked to that goal? Is there something else I can do and still derive some of the benefits?
Definitely. So I think I didn't do that. In fact, I made things much worse by probably replacing my walking with watching mindless TV or something like that. So I'm very aware that I didn't handle my injury well, and I probably did myself a disservice. Um, but I can see and feel the effects of it, and I'm not happy with
Mm,
that. And I was really happy when I
okay.
had all of my things on track. So I'm very I yeah.
But that in itself is also kind of a positive. The fact that you recognize and you say, well, you know what, that was good for me.
Yes.
So that obviously motivates to once the injury is healed, is I'm going to get back to that.
Yeah.
Like you say, then you kind of have to start at, it's going to be a little bit of effort again.
Especially as it's now cold as well.
That too. Uh, but you also mentioned we talked about the getting back to it. Once I've kind of stopped for whatever reason, there was an external factor that meant that I couldn't, and the the getting back to it, the the feedback that you get. So there was if I remember correctly, there was a time where, well, you just got really into this habit of reading. Then there was a trip, and that meant that, wow, my schedule is completely different, and
Yeah.
now I'm maybe not getting to the exact quantity I wanted to read, but you still had the discipline of, well, the book is there next to me. If I
Yeah.
don't get to it, or if I only get to read one sentence, that's also okay.
Yes.
And then once things settle down, this is just continue, not giving up and going, oh, well, that's out the window.
Yeah. No, definitely. So I think the fact that I went through a stage where I was achieving all of my goals or commitments at the time, I now know that I'm capable of doing that. So I don't feel the same kind of pressure that I did before when I was setting myself goals and thinking, oh, I'm never going to be able to read 10 books in a year, or I'm never going to be able to walk 5 kilometers a day. I know that I
Mm,
can do that. Um, so there's not the same level of pressure about taking on those commitments again. And maybe when I do, pushing myself a bit further than I did before, because I know that that was something I could achieve and was easy enough. Maybe now when I start again, I'll go a little bit harder. Maybe my New Year's resolution will be to read 50 books this year. I don't know. We shall see.
yeah. So it was interesting that towards the end there you said that I know that I could easily do that.
Yeah.
In other words, what you thought was quite a big goal, you pursued that, and now you know, even though you're not there at the moment, you know that it became easy.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you're going to set new goals or challenges or make new commitment to yourself, that you can actually do a little bit more.
Yeah.
You can, because we always want to make commitments or set goals that is a little bit beyond what we can comfortably do.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm positive that if you make a New Year's resolution about how many books you're going to read in this year, it's not going to be 30 again. It's not going to be 40 again. And if you make a commitment to in terms of what I want to walk, you're going to think that through and know, you know what, I could actually easily do what I thought was a bit of a stretch, and you're going to revise that and come up with a number that pushes yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a there's a lot of truth to the old saying that it's the journey, not the destination. And that's where we derive most of the, you know, feel good hormones, etc., etc.
Yeah.
It's not when you're on top of Mount Everest. I heard that's pretty shit up there.
Once you get
Cold and
up there, you want to
windy and
get back down real quick.
exactly. But all the exhilaration, etc., is in
Mm.
terms of navigating
Yeah.
and all that meticulous preparation that has to take place for months and months and months ahead of it, and sometimes years.
Yeah.
It's not the actual summit's great. That's that last full stop at the end of the book. But that's not the real exciting and enjoyment that you get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's something that's probably changed in my mind about commitments, resolutions, goals. Is I used to be quite focused on the outcome that I wanted, and now I'm definitely much more focused on those things we talk about, the small steps. And that's changed how I even view it. And the biggest one I always think of is the like lose 10 kilograms. That's always been like a goal. I think for the past 10 years of my life, I've always said I'm going to lose 10 kilograms. And I don't ever seem to do that. But when I notice the most progress for myself is when I'm not focused on the lose 10 kilograms, when I'm focused on
Mm,
the eat healthier, cut out beer, go for walks every day. Like all of these other things are the things that actually energize me and make me happy and make me feel healthy. Um, and I stopped getting on a scale when I was focused on those things because that wasn't my goal. My goal wasn't lose 10 kilograms.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, so you're 100% correct in terms of when you reframe it and you look at it through a different lens, that there are other things where you can um, I don't know, get that self satisfaction from in terms of the achievements. But that's a very typical goal where I find that people pick a number and they haven't clarified for themselves
Yeah,
why that number,
yeah,
and then it doesn't make sense. Uh, the moment anybody says you must cut out beer, there's absolutely no sense. Um, but and that's why it's so important for me in terms of the commitments. It's not about because what if think it's just a number.
yeah,
10 kilograms is just a number. I can um, one of my little habits, let's call it a little habit, is I've been weighing myself every single day, and I note it down.
mm-hmm.
I actually write it down, but I can get on the scale without feeling super excited or depressed or that I have failed or whatever. So, in other words, that daily measure, whether that is weighing yourself or whether that is, I don't know, whatever, um, playing a new piece on the piano or whatever, um, just observe and acknowledge it
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to using it as a, geez, I failed or I succeeded, you know. Um, in, in, and that's again going back to the point where you must have absolute clarity in terms of why one makes a commitment
Yeah.
to anything that you do.
So
So
do
what are
you
your
have
top
I was about
what
to
are your
ask you.
top New Year's? Um,
Okay, what are my top what?
New Year's resolutions.
My top New Year's resolutions. Okay, I was gonna ask you first.
Uh,
So I know it's cliche, but I kind of think of it in terms of the three things that affect my psyche and my happiness, which is the body, mind, and soul. So, in terms of body, I want to get back up to at least walking 5 kilometers a day, which doesn't mean 5 kilometers every day. Sometimes it's the average. So sometimes I'll walk 20
yeah,
k's on the weekend, and that makes up for the others. But trying just to get back to that average of 5 kilometers a day. I should take out the trying. I'm going to get back to walking 5 kilometers a day.
yes,
um, and then fasting, which is the one kind of I hate using the term diet, but I saw something that someone's just posted recently on Instagram about diet doesn't actually have anything to do with a fad or a diet that you do. Diet, the word means like healthy living or something like that, or it's like
yeah,
there's something about the word that I'm not talking about going on a diet, but I found that fasting is something that works for me. It makes me feel good. It's easy to track, and I can tell that when I'm not following it, I don't feel as good. My body doesn't feel as good. So I want to stick to fasting. Um, and then this is a little bit of a, I don't know, a lofty one. The swimming, my swimming people have been trying to convince me to swim through winter, and I'm still on the fence about it because it's suddenly gotten very cold here. But I would like to try, and I've said to them, my one commitment that I have made is I said I will do the Boxing Day swim because everyone does the, Boxing Day you go swim. I know this
mm,
is meant to be in January, but I think I'm going to try and do at least a couple of swims in the cold, see if I can do it. So that's a commitment that I have for body. Mind, keep reading. I want to read 30 to 50 books in the year. um, Researching topics that I find interesting, listening to podcasts, getting people's different views on things. Um, I've been making a real effort with things going on in the world at the moment to try and get a balanced view and look at different opinions from both sides of the story, and then form my own. Um, so yeah, I want to keep doing that. And then for soul, I said travel. I really want to travel more. It makes me very happy. I like getting a different view of the world. Um, I want to be successful at work, so I want to help my team. I want to make a difference. I want to have good relationships with my colleagues. Um, and then also just other social things like going to pub quiz every now and again, a few times a month, and um, doing things outside the house. So yeah, those are my commitments for the year.
okay, that's a nice list of commitments. I like that, you know, some of them are just like, I don't know, I suppose some people may look at that and go, well, you know what, you want to make a commitment to go to pub quiz a couple of times. That's not really, but that's exactly the type of commitments that I think we need to make to
Yeah,
ourselves, kind of recognize where, you know what, either it's just I'm in a rut or I was too busy or whatever the reason is, but really focus on those things as well, which are the fun things, the
yeah,
fun elements, the social elements, and so on, and make those commitments along those rather lofty goals of being a good team member and supporting my team and things like that. But yeah, so a, a nice balanced set of commitments there.
yeah.
I don't really have a list. Like I'm forever, as you know, I've got some kind of health thing that I'm focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to continue with that. Um, the the commitment there. I am really focused on making success of a relatively new young business,
Mm-hmm.
that is a challenge for the year, or a commitment for the year. Um, just continue learning and evolving.
Yeah.
Um, I'm so shit scared of at the end of the year looking back and thinking I'm exactly the same as I was last year.
Are you? If you look back on the previous year, do you feel like you are the same as you were a year ago?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Major changes,
Yeah.
massive
Same.
changes.
Same. And I find
Yeah.
it hard to imagine a world where I would look back after a year and go, oh, nothing changed.
Mm. Yeah. Imagine living your adult life exactly the same.
Yeah. So for me, I can't
That's
say that over the last 12 months so much changed, but I can. There have been specific little pockets that have changed me
mm,
throughout the year, and yeah, significant events and significant things that happened that have changed me, and significant commitments I've made that have changed me. So, yeah,
mm.
yeah,
I don't think one can sit and plan out these changes that you kind of now looking back go, hey, you know what? There's something that happened, and this actually was a positive change.
yeah,
Or if it was something negative that happened, how I navigated that and how that changed me as a person. So,
yeah,
so I don't think you can actually proactively plan all of these things, which is um, which is also really good. Otherwise, it would be pretty boring. Um, it's again that thing about if we can plan our lives, would it really be fun?
yeah.
It is the ups and downs that make
The
the
roller
roller coaster
coaster.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, good luck with all your commitments for this year.
Thanks. And to you.